Aloha. Welcome to Mindful Hawaii. Thank you for joining us. If you happen to be surfing the channels, catch this wave. You will be in for a great ride. Each month on this show, we bring to you interesting people and stories from the front lines of the mindfulness movement. Mindful Hawaii is an organization that promotes, encourages, supports, and connects individuals, organizations, and communities pursuing mindful ways of being and living. Today, I'm really excited about our guest whose predominant focus of her life's work has been dedicated to exploring the healing potential of the human voice. I've always been fascinated about the power of the human voice to heal and awaken a person's inner spirituality. I have also been amazed at how a refined human voice can enrich communications and build positive relationships. So when I learned about Chanara Casey Richmond's work, I extended without hesitation an invitation to appear on our show. And here she is. Welcome, Chanara.
Thank you for having me, Jimmy.
I'm so happy that you're here.
Me too.
Before we get deep into our conversation, I'd like to acknowledge that Chanara earned a Bachelor and Master's of Music and is a Reiki Master. She was a faculty member of the Dominican University in Marin County, California. Chanara has also performed classical music, composed and recorded music. To start, I'd like to ask Chanara to tell us a little about herself.
Well, that's the infinite beingness of myself.
Okay.
The spirituality, the voice, the identity, and how I started getting into this direction of the healing potential of the human voice was, of course, my own journey. And after I was finishing up my master's degree, and I had a strong professional career, performing, doing a lot of performing work, and I was in a state of despair, sitting on the side of my bed, saying over and over, singing is so hard, it's the hardest thing I've ever done. Every teacher has told me how hard singing is. And then I had this lightning bolt realization, that's it. I think singing is hard. What would happen if I thought singing was easy? And that realization, I adopted the major assumption that singing is a normal, natural, biological function, and that it feels good and it's easy and effortless. And this literally changed the entire course of my life, my destiny, and my whole career as I started working with this philosophy. Okay, I have a gift in that I can feel people's bodies, and I can tell when their body is tight, and I can help them loosen it. I was already teaching at this point, and as I started teaching with people with this concept of easy, feel good, I started discovering I had experiences happen. The first one was a lady. She was singing along. I'm going, move your neck, move your jaw, and she burst into tears. Now, she was quite shocked. She said, I wasn't thinking of anything. That just happened. That reaction just happened. And I thought this was very interesting. And then this occurred again and again with other people. There are people that they felt like they were going to throw up. They thought they were going to faint. They had uncontrollable laughter. They had all kinds of phenomena. So I found if I took these people through I'd never seen anything like this in all of my 12 years of private vocal instruction and all the faculty I worked with. So anyway, I took them through it. Okay, if you think you're going to faint, lie on the floor, you're safe. Sing till you faint. Just keep singing until you faint. If you think you're going to throw up, here is the wastebasket. Go ahead, sing till you throw up. If you're crying, just sing and cry. Just keep crying and singing. And I discovered if I took people through this emotional triggering phenomena that they were going through, it stopped. The triggering stopped and never came back. Their voice changed permanently. And I was on the faculty at Dominican University at the time. Third parties, other people, other teachers were coming up to me and commenting on the personality changes in my students. And so I thought, what is this? What is going on? It was a whole new, different phenomena. So I actually went to body work. Okay, and a lot of what I teach goes back to, because I learned there were so many teachers. What's the correct way to do any of this? I got my information mostly from babies. What's natural? What do we do? What are we born with? The way we're born with. One of the things that we're born with is that nobody is born vocally inhibited. Babies scream for days.
So we learned that culturally.
Yes, and no one is born having a problem being the center of attention. This again, it's not our nature. It's not our true nature of who we truly are. Every person is meant to make sound. Babies can scream for days. They don't get laryngitis. They don't get sore throats. When you look at the size of their body with the amount of sound they put out, they don't get tired. This is our nature, to make sound and to feel comfortable being the center of attention. So life's experiences cause us to shut down and to alter our personality. So what happens when we get our feelings hurt? You get that lump in your throat. Everyone knows that experience. Well, that lump is like a Charlie horse. This muscle is this vocalis muscle. Your voice is a muscle, like every other muscle in the body. And so when they're like Rolfing, when you have a trauma, the muscle like stays tight for a long period of time. A lot of times when people with Rolfing, they release that muscle, they'll relive the memory of the trauma that occurred. Okay, so as we live life, we get our feelings hurt and we get that lump. Now little children, when they get their feelings hurt, they just scream and yell. And then, and it passes. They can be laughing 1 minute, crying the next minute, laughing the next minute. I mean, they just let it flow out of them, right? So we get matured and we get learning how to control our emotions. Anyway, these constrictions are still in the vocalis muscle. What I realized I was doing was I was starting to train people how to actually vibrate the vocalis muscle. And while this was vibrating, the byproduct was that the emotion that was jammed in there that never got expressed was being released.
I see.
And as a process was being released, the voice permanently altered. It was permanently freed after that. But again, a lot of the psychological repercussions of the trauma, people had to deal with it in a different way. Now this ties in to our physical, our emotional, our mental, and our spiritual being. This encompasses the whole of our being. Any part of us that does not feel comfortable being who we are on planet Earth is not our true self. It's not our authentic self. It's something that's in us that thinks we're not okay for whatever reason, whether we're not good enough or whatever.
Yes.
It's not who we are. So my mission is to empower people to experience vocal freedom, is to allow this manifestation to come forth, to allow people to feel comfortable and safe being who they are on planet Earth. Now, I, every Saturday at St. Mary's, 3 to 4 p.m., do a free class called The Art of Inner Peace. And this is a right brain intuitive singing thing that we do, and it includes a whole chakra clearing. But what I do at the beginning is I teach a technique called full body vibration. And this technique of full body vibration is the exact technique that ultimately causes this transformational process to happen in people. It's equivalent to very much like a mother singing to a baby. It's like becoming a cat and purring your whole body like a cat. Would you like me to show you how to do it?
Yes. Oh, by the way, I noticed that our time clock is not running, so I'm going to ask our production staff to open the door when the time is creeping up to that magical time.
Okay, great.
Pow time.
I have no track of time.
If not, we're going to go over time. But yes, I'm ready to do this.
Okay, let's do it.
Interesting.
Okay, so what you want to do first we want to get comfortable in our body and just get comfortable breathing. So let's take in a nice deep breath and let's sigh. Beautiful. Do that again. Nice deep sigh of breath. And as you breathe in, let your belly relax so that you can feel that air going all the way down to the bottom of your torso. Breathe in deep and low. Yeah.
So that's a sigh.
That's a sigh. That's a sigh.
Are you learning something?
You're getting there. One more time. Big, deep, low breath, and another sigh. Just a sigh of relief. Thank God. That's exactly right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to chant the Om, because that's a nice word to chant. We like Om. I want you to put your hand right here on your chest. And when you chant Om, you're going to run out of air, so take another breath and keep chanting. And while you're chanting, I'm going to be talking to you and coaching you to have this experience of what I call full body vibration. So you'll feel your body vibrating fully. So breathe deep into your pelvic floor. Oh. Now do you feel your hand vibrating on your chest? Very good. Now what you're going to do is you're going to relax your whole body so that you surrender into that vibration. So you feel that vibration move through your whole body like you're floating in a hot tub. You're going to just relax everything, and I'm going to tell you what's tight. So if I tell you what to move, you're going to move it, yeah? Okay, so nice deep breath. Very good. Om. Oh, good. Now you feel your chest. Now move your jaw in circles for me, and move the back of your neck. Yeah. Now rotate your shoulders. Yeah, can you feel it's going all the way down to your waist now? Can you feel that?
Yeah.
Yeah, now let it go down into your legs. Yeah. Isn't that lovely? It's so healing, yeah. Oh, now move your, do an ummi. Move your knees, bend one knee. Yeah. Yeah, one knee, then the other. Good, you're feeling all the way down to your feet. Yeah.
That was great.
That's full body vibration.
Full body, yeah.
Full body. Right. Now that is the technique. Let's say that we're done. That is the technique that literally caused the personality transformations. Am my mic? Oh yeah, I was tripping on this wire here. That literally caused the vocalis muscle to start vibrating free, which caused this emotional triggering. This emotional triggering happens in so many of my students. I teach privately, but I also have a lot of group things that I do. But this private, most of this triggering happens in a private session, and I tell everybody about it because at the first session, because it's so common that when it happens, people don't connect the dots. And I say to them, remember what we talked about at the very first lesson about this emotional triggering phenomena? And I say, that's what I think you're going through right now. And then they start to make sense, and they start to connect and start understanding that they're actually releasing something that they've been suppressing for a very long time. Yeah.
It's like karaoke. I remember long ago when it first came out, and I somewhere in my upbringing, I got the idea that I wasn't meant to sing.
And where did you get that idea?
I don't know. I guess from friends or culturally, you get this idea that you're supposed to be a Japanese boy, nice and not to be too expressive and that kind of stuff. So singing was not part of the repertoire, I suppose, personality repertoire. And but then one day I was at this karaoke place and I was singing, and I couldn't hit a certain note. But then somebody told me, "Hey, relax and let it out. You can do it."
Hang loose.
And then when I picked that up, and wow, it was just.
It's profoundly healing.
Yeah, it was freeing, actually.
Yeah.
And this thing about this constriction in the vocal cords, I think that's related to the conditioning that you pick up throughout life. And
I agree.
You can free that.
I agree. At one point, I was, my husband, this is when he was still with me. Anyway, at one point, he wanted me to get my PhD. We lived in Northern California. Stanford has a psychoacoustic department. The guy who was the head of the department at the time, I called him to find out the information of what to do to get my PhD at this, because I had this phenomena. I've never heard of personality transformation through singing, literally the byproduct. And also, I didn't have this happen to me with my 12 years of training. And I think it's because all of those teachers, every one of them, God bless them, but every one of them was trying to make my voice sound like whoever they thought was a good singer. So they were trying to make, do this and do this to try to make your voice sound a certain way. Whereas what I was doing was the exact opposite. It was sing your body.
So your own voice got lost somewhere.
Yeah. It was vibrate your body, sing your body, because our voice is unique. We can be identified in court by our voice track. There is no other. We are unique. Every single voice is unique. You can talk to, and our voice is our identity, our very identity. When you talk to a total stranger on the phone. You can not only hear their sex, their approximate age, their general level of health, vitality, their nationality. You get an idea of their attitude and even the kind of their character. You can even get a body type. So if you meet them and their body looks dramatically different than what you saw, it's like a shock, because you got an image of a body type from that voice, yeah? That's all in this voice, it's all our whole identity is conveyed. So when you start to actually work with changing the sound of your voice, you're actually working with the core of your identity of who you think you are. And all of these beliefs that we've taken on that are not our authentic self, we think this is us, and it is not who we are. So part of the process is discovering who am I as we go through this. And it's a very mechanical, physical process with profound psychological repercussions. Likewise, you can talk to your friend on the phone, and no matter what the words are that they're saying, you can hear what's going on with them. There's this energy that's conveyed. See, like the eyes are the door to the soul, the voice is the door to the heart. And so when you start working with the voice and freeing the voice, you start being able to open and free the heart. And so that your true authentic nature can come out, and you can start to feel comfortable being who you are on planet Earth.
I was starting to write something when I was looking at this book here, and the thought that came to me was that the voice is a powerful, not just a tool, but has the power to resonate between two people. You know, when you talk to someone, and the receiver of your voice hears not just the words,
it's
but
tactile.
They get impacted by it.
They get impacted.
Yeah.
It's just like light is a very powerful healing tool, but sound waves are dense. They're denser than light, so they affect physical matter. You can, we get chicken skin. You hear sounds and they give you chicken skin. It literally makes your hair stand up.
The bodily
there's a
reaction.
bodily reaction. That's why there's so many in historic and biblical quotes about this music soothing the soul. And music greatly affects people positively and negatively. Certain music will make people violent, and it's a very, very sound is very, very
powerful. A certain kind of
powerful.
chant, like a war chant, for example, it increases the potential for greater output of physical strength, if you
And
will.
courage.
Yeah.
And your persona, it's acting a role like on an opera stage. You're in a character.
I see.
Helps you get in character.
Yeah. No,
It's not like the way you are with your
really
baby at home.
Yeah. But I also noticed that the work you do is not just about the voice, but there's also that part of what you teach deals with the spirit, the human spirit.
Yes.
Consciousness,
because everything, it's all one. It's all one, because I work with not just the physical body, the mechanical process of freeing the voice. I see energy fields, so I teach people how to use their chi and their subtle energy in performance. So a lot of the problems are not just physical, that's what people are habitually doing with their energy fields. So as you're doing all of this stuff, all of our inaccurate beliefs are come up, and a lot of what I'm doing is helping people to find different ways of behaving rather than the default mode that they've learned to go into as they're doing this. And as I kept doing this for years and years, I've been, 30 plus easily years that I've been doing all of this. About 5 years ago, I got this incredible passion because I started seeing, we're all trying to alleviate human suffering. All of it is about trying to alleviate human suffering in whatever way we can. And we don't do it, but we can help, we can be cheerleader, we can give whatever information we have to help people help themselves, because we can't take away their suffering. Anyway. So I had this passionate desire of realizing that what humans needed most of all was to be able to access their intuition, their inner guidance. Now I already was teaching this with performing, being a transmitter and showing people how to let energy flow through them while they're in performance and all of this. But intuition, I've worked intuitively my whole life. Everything that I teach was given to me through insight, through inner guidance. I can't really take credit for it. It's just the idea came into my head, you know. So I kept asking my inner guidance, can it be taught? Can it be taught? Can intuition be taught? Everywhere I looked, it was all about psychic, training in the psychic. And the intuition isn't psychic. The intuition is different than that. It's a different frequency. It's a different energy. So anyway, one morning, 5 years ago, my first thought, right between waking and sleeping, you're just right in the middle there, and the first thing I said was, can it be taught? And in between waking and sleeping, I heard this laugh in my head, and it said, you're already teaching it.
Was that you laughing or somebody else?
Yeah, it was an external. It was somebody else laughing. It wasn't me. It said, you're already teaching it. And I saw the image of this Hotai Joy Bath, this way of moving energy, giving and receiving energy that I would teach. And I thought, and I said in my mind, what does the Hotai Joy Bath have to do with the intuition? And in that moment, I received what I call a download. It was just like, this whole insight came in all at once. I've never experienced anything like it since, and it was quite profound. And anyway,
great.
Oh, how nice.
Well, sunset, it's a
Anyway.
signal.
Yeah.
Nah.
Oh, here, maybe they're doing it for the clock.
No, I think it's running now.
Oh, okay. So anyway, I was guided to write it down. Now, most of the stuff I'm given, I practiced it a couple years before I started teaching it, so I know and understand it. But this, nope, they said, put it out there, just put it out there. So I wrote this book, this
Yes,
OSIM.
Yes. Very
OSIM
interesting
consciousness,
book.
yeah, an operating system for human consciousness, and this OSIM is it's an acronym. It's a OSIM. The OS stands for the observer self, which is being mindful, being in the present moment, no thought, accessing, learning how to do that. The I is being intact, being fully present in your body, because a lot of people when they aren't always in their body when they meditate. They leave their body, and this is an in-body meditation. Observe yourself fully intact in the body. Access means shows you how to connect to Source and have that communion going on with Source, and the M stands for move, where you allow that energy to move through you. So OSIM is an easy way to remember the 4 steps to this.
Is Tai
it's
Chi,
a
the
great
practice of Tai Chi, like a parallel to your movement thing? Yeah.
I have not done an intensive study of Tai Chi. I've only done a few classes here and there. I teach Chi, and I teach people how to work with Chi in performance, but I have not done Tai Chi. But it's Chi is Chi. Again, it's an experience, and the word we use with it isn't, we don't know if the person has the same meaning of the same word. We don't know if that word means the same thing to each person. So I see the energy field. So when I'm teaching people how to work with Chi and to expand Chi, but this connecting to Source is not Chi. This connecting to Source is heart. It's actually learning how to access your heart, and it's an inner connection that it's a communion. When you are in communion with Source, you do not feel alone. It's a very interesting feeling, because it's miraculous that there's this many people on planet Earth, and every single one of us is completely different. Every one of us have completely different perceptions. But when you are connected to Source, you feel that you are completely understood and perceived. There's a oneness. It's different than when you're with people. No matter how much you love them and how close you are to them, they're still them and you're still you. But when there's this connection, this is the greatness of this. I don't want to define it other than it's a tactile experience.
Those things defy being defined.
Yeah.
Those are words, but we need some words to kind of refer to something.
It's an experience. It's tactile. It's not a thought.
Definition like that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think the definition itself is a block.
I agree.
To actually freeing yourself to be in contact with it.
I've noticed that you can have the experience, and when you're in the experience, there are no words to describe it.
Yes.
And then to describe it, you have to actually come out of the experience so you can access your left brain and verbalize it. You can talk about the memory of it.
Yes, and you've lost it. See, the point is, I think that like the Zen teachers, they say that you can't get in touch with the inner being or the inner spirituality, the key, just by intellectualizing it. It's not a concept. It's
No.
what you experience.
It is.
And
It
everything that you tell
transcends
me is about experiencing the
And that-
freeing motion, the freeingness of the voice or whatever.
Yes, and the whole thing with mindfulness, present moment, no thought. So the first thing that you discover, once you can do that and you master present moment, no thought, and you could do that on command, and you hang out in present moment, no thought, the first thing you start noticing, because you're usually sitting, not moving, you realize, okay, I exist, and I am not this body. That's pretty easy for us because we go to sleep every night, right? It's pretty easy for us to know we're not this physical body. It's a vehicle we're using. But the next thing you start noticing is your emotions are pretty still, and you realize I exist and I'm not feeling any emotions. So my emotions aren't me either, necessarily. And then you start noticing that you're aware of that you're not thinking thought. So you become aware. What happens is your awareness becomes aware of itself. We become conscious of our consciousness. And once that starts happening, we have that experience and we can do it on command, become conscious of our consciousness, then our physical body, our emotional body, and our mental body become our mode of expression for creating here in three-dimensional reality.
Yes, I know of some people that are teaching or experimenting in what they call direct awakening.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means, but I mean,
But a lot of people have described spontaneous enlightenment. Yogananda described it, Eckhart Tolle describes it, spontaneous enlightenment, where they just had a moment and boom, and it was permanent and they never went back. My life, I have had experienced enlightenment. There's no question I've experienced enlightenment in nirvana, but it would wear off. I would have it and then I would be back to my other normal self again. And so how can I get to there on purpose? How can I, so my journey is how can I consciously.
we're counting down, by the way, to about 30 seconds. So
Okay,
I'm gonna
okay.
have to bring this to a close, but I want to say to you that we should get together again in the future for another show and maybe get into some of those deeper things.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I just want to say thank you very much for being here, and I enjoyed the show very
Thank you
much.
for having me. And if you want to check me out more, YouTube, go to youtube.com and in the search box type Chanara Casey Richmond, Chanara Casey Richmond. I have lots of videos.
It's on right there.
Oh, good, perfect.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was good.
That was fun. Thank you.
Well, it was wonderful.